The transmission was full of static, but the screaming was clear. "Help us. For the love of the ancestors, help us." On the flickering holoscreen, a massive alien battleship was on fire. Its glowing hull cracked and split apart like an egg dropped from orbit. Escape pods sprayed out in all directions, but one by one. They flared into nothingness like moths flying into a sun. The alien commander, a tall insectoid creature with black chitin and 6 glowing eyes, clutched the edges of his command console. His voice was shrill and panicked. "It's just a Terran cargo hauler. How is this possible? They're tearing us apart." Behind him, the bridge crew screamed as their ship buckled. Sparks rained from the ceiling. Deck plates cracked. "Impossible," the science officer shouted. "Their ship isn't even armed." The alien commander turned to the camera, his face filled with terror. "To any Council fleet receiving this, stay away from Sol. Do not engage the Terrans." A blinding flash cut him off. The screen went black, dead silence. Then came the sound of laughter. Scene 2. The Galactic Council, a grand chamber, glittered with golden light. Massive banners of every known species hung from the walls. The air hummed with the voices of hundreds of alien leaders. They were laughing. A reptilian overlord with scales like polished emeralds slammed his claw on the table. "A Terran cargo ship? That's what destroyed Fleet Theta? Ha! Preposterous!" Rotund, slug-like diplomat waved a slimy tentacle. "I warned you, these humans are pathetic. Barely out of their gravity well, and yet you act as if they're dangerous? Primitive apes?" Crystalline being added with a tinkling laugh. "Their weapons are hundreds of years behind ours. Their ships are trash." The laughter grew, louder, echoing through the great hall. At the center of the chamber sat the High Chancellor, a tall, elegant creature with silver skin and glowing eyes. She raised a hand, silencing the room. "Fleet Theta's destruction is unfortunate. Let us not lose perspective. We have crushed countless civilizations before. The Terrans are no different." The reptilian overlord hissed. "Perhaps Fleet Theta's commander was incompetent. Or drunk." Another alien jeered. The High Chancellor smiled coldly. "Either way, this insolence cannot stand. Humanity must be taught their place." She slammed her staff onto the floor. "I propose we send a cleansing armada, 500 ships. Our finest warriors? All in favor." The chamber lit up with votes of approval. "Then it is decided," the Chancellor said. "We will burn Earth to ash. Humanity will be erased." The Council cheered. Scene 3. Earth's watchful eyes far away. On the blue and green planet called Earth, a man stood alone on a dark hilltop. Captain Elias. Kale watched the stars. His eyes were sharp, his face lined from years of command. In his hand, he held a small datapad displaying alien fleet movements. "They're coming," he said softly. Behind him, a woman's voice replied, calm and quiet. "The Council, yes," Kale said. "Just like we planned." The woman stepped forward. She wore a sleek black uniform with no insignia, no rank. Her expression was cold. "They think we're weak," she said. "They always have," Kale replied. He tapped the datapad. The alien armada was already on its way, hundreds of warships traveling through hyperspace. Kale smiled. "Let them come." Scene 4. The armada arrives. The void rippled as hyperspace tore open. One by one, alien warships appeared near the edge of the Sol system. Massive destroyers, sleek cruisers, swarms of fighter escorts. The fleet stretched for thousands of kilometers. On the bridge of the flagship, Grand Admiral Vorak stared at the holographic display. His scaled lips curled into a sneer. "Pitiful," Vorak muttered. A young officer spoke nervously. "Sir, our scouts report only one Terran ship in the area." Nick's eyes gleamed. "One ship? I expected more of a challenge. Shall we destroy it?" the officer asked. "No," Vorak said. "Let's see what this mighty humanity has to offer. Bring it on screen." Scene 5. Humanity's joke ship on the display. The Terran ship came into view. It was underwhelming. A rusty cargo freighter barely holding together. Its hull was dented and scarred. One engine sputtered weakly, trailing dark smoke. The ship drifted slowly toward the alien armada. Vorak laughed. The entire bridge crew laughed. "This is humanity's defense?" Vorak roared. "A garbage hauler," science officer snorted. "Scanners detect no weapons. Hey, no shields. It's a civilian freighter." "Then this will be over in seconds," Vorak said. He leaned forward, baring his teeth. "Prepare to fire." The alien fleet began to charge their weapons. But on the Terran ship, a lone figure sat calmly in the captain's chair. Captain Elias Kale. He watched the alien fleet through his viewport. Hundreds of warships, all aimed at his little freighter. Kale smiled. "Let's show them what a Terran ship can do." On the alien flagship Dominator, Grand Admiral Vorak stood with his clawed hands clasped behind his back. Before him, the holographic display showed the Terran ship in perfect detail. It was pathetic. A rusting cargo hauler. Slowly tumbling in, space. Its hull was dented and scarred, with patches of metal that didn't even match the original design. One of its engines sputtered weakly, coughing out black smoke that floated lazily in the vacuum. The alien crew laughed. "Is this their defense fleet?" One officer sneered. His purple skin gleamed under the lights. "Pathetic even for a backwater species," muttered another. "I expected more." Vorak's lip curled in disgust. "This is humanity? The so-called Terrans? Apes playing at Starflight?" He leaned closer to the display. Scanned the vessel. The science officer tapped on his console, his antennae twitching. "Scans complete, Admiral. No shields detected. Minimal hull plating. Weapon systems." Outdated by at least 6 centuries, the bridge erupted in laughter. Vorak raised a claw. The laughter stopped. "Open a channel to the Terran ship." A moment later, the comms officer nodded. "Channel open, sir." Vorak straightened his uniform and spoke with a voice dripping with mockery. "This is Grand Admiral Vorak of the Galactic Cleansing Fleet. Terran vessel, you are surrounded. Surrender immediately or be vaporized. You are no match for us." There was silence. Then the Terran captain appeared on screen. A man in his 40s with sharp eyes and a calm expression. He wore no fancy uniform, just a plain black jacket. Behind him, the Terran ship's bridge looked dark and empty. The man smiled faintly. "Your move." The screen went black. Scene 2. The first strike. Vorak's eyes narrowed. "So be it, Admiral," asked the weapons officer. "Destroy them. All batteries. Fire." Across the vast alien fleet, hundreds of warships powered up their weapons. Cannons glowed bright with energy. Torpedo bays opened, and then a rain of plasma bolts and torpedoes surged toward the tiny Terran freighter. The alien crew cheered. Direct hit in 3, 2, 1. The science officer counted. But then he froze. 0. Scene 3. Something's wrong. The bridge fell silent. The massive display showed the Terran freighter still intact, not a single scorch mark on its rusty hull. Vorak's eyes widened. "Status report." The science officer's fingers flew over his console. His voice shook. "Admiral, our shots didn't hit them." "What do you mean?" Vorak growled. "They didn't miss," the officer said. "The energy bolts. They vanished, as if they hit nothing. Sensors show no shields, no countermeasures. It's like the space around them swallowed our fire," another officer shouted. In panic, "Admiral, our torpedoes. They're gone too. No detonation, no debris." Vorak slammed his claw on the console. "Impossible." Fire again. Maximum power. Scene 4. The second salvo. The alien fleet unleashed everything. Thousands of plasma. Bolts streaked through space. Missiles screamed toward the target. Beams of pure energy lanced across the void. The Terran ship didn't move, and yet, again, the weapons had no effect. The alien shot simply disappeared a few kilometers from the freighter, as if space itself refused to let them through. The crew watched in horror. "It's not possible," the science officer whispered. "Physics doesn't work like this. And what are we dealing with?" Vorak shouted. Scene 5. The Terran counter on the Terran freighter, Captain Elias Kale sat calmly in his chair. His finger hovered over a glowing button. His voice was steady. Computer. Gauge Phase 1. Phase 1 confirmed, the AI replied in a cold female voice. Deploying. From the belly of the freighter, a strange device unfolded like a blooming metallic flower. It glowed faintly blue, pulsing with energy. A wave of invisible force rippled outward. Scene 6. Chaos in the fleet on the alien flagship. Alarms screamed. Admiral, something's happening. What now? Vorak roared. Our ships. They're shutting down. Across the alien fleet, warships began losing power. Lights flickered. Engines sputtered. Weapon systems went dark. Gravity fields fluctuating. A helmsman screamed. Act! We're being pulled by what? The science officer's eyes were wide with terror. There, turning space itself against us. Scene 7. The freighter advances. The rusty Terran freighter's engines roared to life. Slowly, it began moving. Straight toward the alien fleet. To the aliens, it was like watching a predator walking calmly into a herd of prey. Evasive maneuvers, Vorak shouted, but it was too late. As the freighter approached, alien ships began collapsing. Hulls crumpled like paper. Energy. Cores destabilized. One by one, the proud warships of the Galactic cleansing fleet were reduced to drifting wreckage. On the Terran bridge, Kale's eyes were cold. You wanted war, he said softly. Now you have it. The freighter glided deeper into the Armada, and the alien fleet burned. The alien flagship Dominator floated in the black void, surrounded by chaos. Where once a mighty armada had stood 1,000 ships strong, now there were only fire and wreckage on the bridge. Grand Admiral Vorak gripped the edge of his console. So hard his claws dug deep grooves into the metal. His glowing eyes were wide with disbelief as he watched the tiny Terran freighter glide effortlessly through his fleet. It wasn't firing a single shot, yet every ship it passed crumpled like paper, crushed by some invisible force. War cruisers imploded from within. Battle stations cracked apart in silence. Bright flares erupted in every direction as reactors detonated, sending molten metal spraying into space. Report, Vorak bellowed, his deep voice cracking. The science officer's hand shook as he scanned his console. Admiral, we don't know what's happening. There are no energy signatures, no weapons fire. The Terran vessel isn't doing anything. Don't lie to me, Vorak roared, spinning on the officer. Our ships are dying, and you tell me it's not attacking. The officer's face paled. Sir, their ship violates every law of physics we know. It's like space itself is warping around them. Another officer screamed, Admiral, destroyers 17 through 22 are gone? They just folded in on themselves. Vorak's throat rumbled in rage. How? What kind of weapon is this? He slammed his claw down. All ships, retreat. Pull back now. Scene 2. Humanity's true face far away, on Earth, deep beneath the frozen wastelands of Antarctica. An ancient bunker thrummed with life. A ring of glowing holograms surrounded a sleek table. Shapes moved in the light, strange, human-like. Faces with emotionless expressions. They weren't alive. They didn't breathe. They were the Council of Orion, Earth's most secret creation, and they had been watching the battle. Phase 2 of Project Oblivion is proceeding as expected, one AI said in a flat voice. Casualties among alien forces are 97.3%, added another. Their fleet poses no further threat. At the head of the table, the hologram of an older woman with piercing gray eyes flickered into existence. She spoke calmly. They mocked us for centuries, called us primitives. They never saw the truth. Another AI's voice rang out. Humanity has hidden its science for 400 years. We allowed them to think we were weak. That was the plan. And now, the first AI said, the galaxy learns what we truly are. The woman's hologram turned toward a massive screen. On it, the freighter continued its advance through the alien armada, its engines glowing a soft blue. Project Oblivion, first deployment confirmed successful. Scene 3. The secret. Weapon on the Terran freighter, Captain Elias Kale stood with his hands clasped behind his back. His face was calm, almost bored, as his ship tore through the alien fleet. "Status?" Kale asked. The ship's AI, a soft female voice, replied, "Singularity field is stable. Mass distortion drive is functioning at optimal levels. Ships are unable to resist the gravitational collapse," Kale smirked. "Good. Let's keep going." To any outside observer, the freighter looked like nothing more than a rust bucket. But under its battered hull was the most advanced technology humanity had ever built. Weapons that didn't exist in galactic science. Engines that didn't move the ship. They moved space itself, and a device that could manipulate gravity so violently that enemy ships simply tore themselves apart. Project Oblivion wasn't a warship, it was an extinction event. Scene 4, the alien desperation on the Dominator. Officers shouted over one another as the flagship's systems began to flicker and die. "Admiral, our engines are down. Our weapons won't fire. We're being pulled toward them. There's no escape." Vorak slammed his fist against the console, his eyes blazing with fury and fear. "Redirect all power to shields." "Now, sir. Shields are collapsing. The gravitational forces are too strong." Vorak's claws scraped across his armrest. How could this be happening? Terrans were primitives. They were supposed to be nothing, yet here they were, unmaking the most powerful fleet in the galaxy with a single ship. Vorak's voice cracked as he roared. "How?" Scene 5. The end begins back on the Terran freighter Kale watched. With cold eyes as alien ships broke apart like toys. "Engage Phase 3, he ordered. The AI replied, "Phase 3 engaged. Activating disintegration field." Underneath the freighter, a strange device began to glow brighter. Blue light pulsed outward in waves. And then, alien ships didn't just implode anymore. They began to dissolve. Their hulls broke down at the molecular level. Metal turned to dust. Energy fields unraveled. Entire warships disappeared into glowing clouds of particles, leaving nothing behind. On the Dominator, the crew screamed as they watched their sister ships vanish into nothingness. Scene 6. The flagship's fall, Admiral. The science. Officers screamed. "They're targeting us directly." Vorak's heart pounded in his chest. "Evasive maneuvers. Take us out of here." But it was too late. The freighter's glowing device flared once more. On the alien flagship, alarms blared. As the floor began to twist beneath their feet, metal groaned. Beam snapped. A crewman screamed as the walls folded inward like liquid. Admiral Vorak roared in defiance. "We are the Galactic Council's finest. We will not." His words were cut off as the deck beneath him cracked open. His body tumbled into a blinding blue light. And then the Dominator, the pride of the alien fleet, crumbled like a sandcastle in a storm from the Terran freighter's bridge. Kale watched the alien flagship dissolve into dust. "One ship down," he said softly. 999 to go. The AI's voice spoke in its calm tone. "Enemy fleet destruction, 72% complete. Shall we proceed?" Kale's eyes were hard. No survivors. Outside the freighters, engines glowed brighter as it advanced deeper into the burning fleet, and the galaxy would never be the same. The grand chamber of the Galactic Council was in chaos. Holograms flickered and distorted as shouting voices filled the air. Alien leaders, once calm and composed, now screamed over one another in fear. "A single Terran ship destroyed our entire fleet? Impossible. They must have stolen the technology." "No. We scanned them 1,000 times. They're supposed to be primitives." On the central screen, battle footage played on loop. The Terran freighter, small and rusting, drifted calmly through the Council's mighty fleet behind it. Alien warships imploded, cracked, and dissolved into glowing dust. Humanity tricked. "Us," a crystalline alien whispered, her voice trembling. "They're not primitives. They're predators." The High Chancellor slammed her clawed hand onto the council table. "Enough," she roared. The room fell silent. "They've humiliated us, but we still have strength. We will crush these Terrans before their treachery spreads across the galaxy." "But Chancellor," a nervous voice began. Silence. she hissed. I am authorizing Operation Final Dawn. On a massive display, an even larger armada appeared, 1,000 warships, drawn from every corner of Council space, dreadnoughts, carriers, swarms of fighters. This time, the Chancellor said coldly, we will bury Earth under a storm of fire. Scene 2. Humanity's answer deep within Earth's orbit. 2 Terran ships waited in silence. One looked like a small, aging freighter. The other was sleek and narrow, with no visible weapons or engines. Both ships drifted lazily against the backdrop of the stars. On the bridge of the lead ship, Captain Elias Kale sat with his hands folded. His calm eyes watched the holographic map displaying the incoming enemy fleet. Behind him, the AI spoke in her smooth, cold voice. Enemy fleet entering Sol system in T-minus 10 minutes. 1,000 ships detected. Weapon systems at full capacity. Gale didn't flinch. 2 against 1,000, he murmured. Statistically unfavorable, the AI said. Kale smirked. For them. Scene 3. The Council Armada arrives at the edge of Sol system. Space rippled as massive alien ships burst out of hyperspace. The Council's second Armada stretched across millions of kilometers, a wall of metal and firepower. On the bridge of the alien flagship Eternal Flame, Supreme Commander Kareth sneered at the holographic display. 2 ships? He said with disbelief. The Terrans send 2 ships against my fleet? His officers chuckled. They think they're clever, one said. They're fools, another replied. Kareth raised his hand. Open a channel. Scene 4. The final warning that comes crackled. Captain Kale's face appeared on the app. Alien bridge screen. This is Captain Elias Kale of the Terran Defense Force. You've crossed into Sol system. Turn back now. The alien bridge erupted in laughter. Kareth leaned forward, his fangs glinting. 2 little ships think they can stop 1,000. It's time you'll die for real. Kale's expression didn't change. Your move. The channel cut. Scene 5. The counterattack begins. Kareth roared. All ships fire. The Council fleet unleashed a storm. Thousands of plasma bolts streaked toward the 2 Terran vessels. Missiles screamed through the void. Energy beams lit the darkness like a second sun. The alien officers smirked, certain of victory, but then nothing hit. Just like before, the weapons vanished a few kilometers from the Terran ships. Scene 6. Humanity's secret weapon unleashed on Kale's ship. The AI spoke calmly, activating Singularity Field. The 2 Terran ships began to glow faintly. Strange rings of energy expanded from their hulls. Space around them warped and twisted. Stars seemed to stretch and bend. On the alien flagship, alarm screamed, Sir, our ships are being pulled. Gravitational anomalies detected. Kareth barked. Space itself is folding around them. Our formations are collapsing. Scene 7. Total collapse. Alien warships began spinning out of control. 2 Council frigates collided, exploding in a massive fireball. A destroyer was torn in half by unseen forces. The fleet's perfect formations broke apart as ships slammed into one another. On the alien bridge, Kareth's eyes widened in horror. They're using the stars against us. Asterisk. Back on Kale's bridge, the captain gave the final order. Activate gravity wells in this. I replied coldly. As you command. The 2 Terran ships pulsed with blinding blue light. Space itself began to collapse inward. Alien ships screamed toward the glowing singularities, colliding, tearing apart, crushed into nothingness. On the alien flagship, Kareth screamed as his ship was pulled sideways, the metal groaning and cracking. The eternal flame twisted in half, then vanished. A shattered cruiser drifted in space, torn nearly in half. Fires burned along its broken spine. Hull plates floated away slowly, glowing in the cold light of distant stars. Inside, alien survivors gasped for air. Their oxygen reserves were fading. Sparks rained from the ceiling. Gravity was gone. A reptilian officer floated near the comms panel, his scaly hands trembling. He pressed the emergency beacon. This is Commander Ilrose of the Council vessel, Valor's Edge. We are broken, requesting aid. Please, anyone, help us. Static then, a voice crackled over the comscom, cold and Terran. This is Earth. The aliens froze. You came to wipe us out. The voice continued. Now, you will learn what extinction feels like. The transmission ended. Silence. The survivors looked at one another in terror. Earth wasn't weak. Earth was hungry. Scene 2. Galactic panic across the galaxy. Chaos spread like wildfire. News of the Second Council fleet's destruction. 1,000 warships, destroyed by only 2 Terran vessels, reached every major species within hours. On dozens of worlds, citizens flooded the streets in panic. Governments scrambled to raise defenses. Military leaders demanded answers. How did this happen? What is humanity? What else are they hiding? On the trade hub of Corvell Prime, a group of alien diplomats gathered in a secret chamber. They watched footage of the battles on a massive screen. Ate the Terran freighter, once a joke, one that tore through fleets without firing a single shot. One diplomat, a wrinkled amphibian, spoke in a trembling voice. We thought they were just clever monkeys. We were wrong. Another, an insectoid with twitching antennae, hissed. This wasn't defense. This was domination. A third diplomat leaned forward. I have to know the truth. Who are the Terrans? Scene 3. Humanity's hidden history. The screen went dark. Then slowly, ancient images appeared. Earth, thousands of years ago. Humans gathered around fires, built stone cities, launched rockets into space. But then something changed. Secret war. The footage showed brief flashes, black ships launching from hidden bases, strange machines digging into alien soil, silent battles fought on dead moons. Humanity had met alien life long ago, and instead of announcing their presence, they hid. A narrator spoke, the voice calm and powerful. For centuries, humanity pretended to be weak, primitive, backward. We let the galaxy laugh at us while they watched our surface. We built beneath it, underground labs, deporbit facilities, cities in the asteroid belt, weapons beyond. Their understanding, they saw our face, never saw our claws. Scene 4. Project Oblivion Origins. A dark laboratory flickered onto the screen. Human scientists stood around a glowing sphere of twisted, energy-bending space, distorting gravity. Project Oblivion, the narrator continued, was never designed to defend Earth. It was designed to end wars before they started. A single ship, no weapons needed. It's just space, bent and broken. Just gravity, turned into a knife. More images. Early prototype ships, shattering test fleets and simulations, silent deployments. Entire alien pirate groups disappearing without a trace. We tested it quietly, in secret. While the Council mocked our satellites, we erased entire threats in the void. Scene 5. Humanity's hidden wars flashbacks now showed black Terran ships raiding slaver colonies. Underground facilities on Mars launching kinetic weapons that flattened entire moons. They thought we were afraid to fight, but we were choosing when to fight. And now, the time has come. Scene 6. Earth's final message back on Earth. Deep inside the AI Council's core chamber. Glowing screens showed a list of enemy ships destroyed. More fleets were preparing Council allies. Scavenger empires, bounty syndicates. But Earth was ready, in orbit. A fleet of Terran ships, sleek, dark, and silent, emerged from behind the moon. Captain Elias Kale stood on the bridge of the newest dreadnought. Behind him, hundreds of officers watched quietly. Kale spoke. The time for silence is over. Prepare the transmission, the AI confirmed. Live connection established with all Council worlds. Kale stepped forward. His face appeared across the galaxy in alien ships and crowded streets in royal chambers. He spoke only one sentence. You mocked our ship. Pause. Now we're coming for yours. Across the galaxy. Thousands of Council warships began scrambling to prepare, but Earth's ships were already in motion, slipping silently. Through folded space, they weren't coming to negotiate. They were coming to hunt. In the heart of the Orion Nebula, stars burned like a million torches. Vast clouds of gas twisted in silence, their colors glowing softly in the void. And there floated the largest fleet ever assembled. Millions of ships. DREADNOUGHTS, the size of cities. carriers holding endless swarms of fighters, Titans armed with weapons that could crack planets. The Galactic Council had summoned every ally, every vassal, every mercenary empire in their reach. This was not a fleet. This was a wall of fire and steel. On the bridge of the flagship Celestial, Dominion Supreme Chancellor Vieira stood tall, her insectoid eyes scanning the endless rows of ships displayed on the main screen. "This time," she hissed, "the Terrans will face the full strength of the galaxy." A nervous officer spoke. "Chancellor, reports say humanity has only a handful of ships. One ship destroyed our first fleet," another added. "Two ships destroyed the second. Should we prepare for more surprises?" Vera's claws tapped the rail in front of her. "We have millions of ships. Millions. No primitive species can stand against this. The Terrans will burn here in Orion." Her words echoed through the fleet as thousands of alien commanders watched and waited. Scene 2. The waiting game days passed. The massive armada held position in the nebula, waiting for the enemy. Scouts swept the edges of the system. Sensors reached far beyond the stars. Nothing. No Terran ships.
Ow.
No movement. Only silence. On the bridge of Celestial Dominion, tension began to build. "Where are they?" an officer muttered. "Perhaps they're afraid," another suggested. Vieira scowled. "No, they're planning something." Scene 3. Humanity arrives on the fourth day. An alarm rang across the fleet.
Contact.
"Where?" Vieira barked. The screen flickered. A single dot appeared at the edge of the nebula. A ship. One ship. The alien officers stared in disbelief. "It's them." On the screen, the Terran vessel drifted calmly into view. It wasn't large, wasn't armed, at least, not visibly. Its dark hull seemed to drink in the light of the stars around it. And then a voice crackled across the comms. "This is Captain Elias Kale of the Terran Defense Force." The voice was calm, steady. "One ship is all we need." Scene 4. The ultimate weapon on the Terran vessel's bridge. Captain Kale stood. "Still? Status?" he asked. The ship's AI replied. "Null bombs armed? Awaiting command." Kale's eyes were cold as steel. "Begin." Scene 5. Matter erased. The alien fleet watched in confusion as the Terran ship released small, glowing spheres. They drifted lazily toward the Armada. "What are those?" an alien commander asked. "Missiles. They're too small. Wait." "There. Gone." The spheres disappeared from sensors. Then began. One alien frigate simply vanished. No explosion. No debris. One moment it was there. The next it was gone. Erased from existence. "What happened?" screamed an officer. Another ship vanished. Then a cruiser. Then an entire wing of destroyers. "You're using some kind of null weapon." "It's erasing matter itself." Across the Armada, panic spread like fire. "Shields won't stop it. We're losing ships at random." On Celestial Dominion, Vieira's mandibles clicked nervously. This isn't possible. Nothing can destroy matter like this." Our science officer turned to her, his face pale. "Chancellor, these weapons violate the laws of physics as we understand them." Scene 6. The galaxy strikes back. But the Council Armada didn't hesitate. Vera's voice rang out over the fleet comms. "All ships, fire everything." The Orion Nebula lit up as millions of weapons discharged at once. Plasma bolts, railgun slugs, quantum torpedoes, beams of antimatter. A storm of destruction surged toward the lone Terran vessel. On the Terran ship, the AI spoke calmly. "Incoming fire detected. 17,643,229 projectiles." Kale didn't move. "Activate the veil." The ship's dark hull shimmered faintly. The alien weapons struck and vanished. No explosions. No impact. The Terran ship didn't even flinch. On Celestial Dominion, Vera's scream echoed across the bridge. "How?" Terran voice returned. "Over the comms, you brought millions of ships." A pause. "We brought the end." The skies of the Council's homeworld burned. From orbit, The once proud jewel of the galaxy Veros Prime was a sphere of chaos. Massive space stations tumbled like broken toys, their wreckage raining down on the planet below. Cities lay in ruin. Towers of glass and steel crumbled under relentless bombardment. Refugee ships screamed into the void, their engines blazing as they tried to escape. Most were caught in the crossfire, reduced to ash before they cleared the atmosphere. The Galactic Council's planetary defense grid fired wildly into the darkness. Hundreds of beam cannons and missile silos discharged in desperation, and above it all, the Terran ship hovered, silent, U and MOV. Watching. Scene 2. The last plea in the shattered heart of the Council's capital. Chancellor Vieira stood trembling in the command bunker, her insectoid eyes darted between screaming advisors and flickering holoscreens showing the destruction above. The defenses, they're failing. Terran weapons are unlike anything we've seen. They bypass shields. They melt armor. We have no chance at all. The Chancellor slammed her claws onto the table, her voice breaking. Send a transmission. Now, I want direct contact with the Terran vessel. A moment later, the comms officer nodded shakily. Channel open. Vieira dropped to her knees. Her voice shook as she spoke. This is High Chancellor Vieira of the Galactic Council. To the humans, we beg you. We surrender, please. Spare our world. Spare our people. You've proven your strength. We were wrong about you. Her words were cut short as a human face appeared on the massive screen. Scene 3. Earth's answer, Captain Elias Kale stared into the camera. His face was calm, unreadable. Behind him, the bridge of the Terran ship was silent. For a moment, Kale said nothing. Then his voice came low and cold. You mock us for centuries. You enslave our colonies. You steal our resources. You call us primitives and vermin. His gaze hardened. And now? You want mercy? Vieira's mandibles clicked desperately. Yes, mercy. We'll pay reparations. We'll give you anything, just don't destroy us. Kale leaned forward slightly. We are not here for negotiations. Kara's breath caught in her throat. What do you mean? Kale's voice became as sharp as a blade. Earth's answer is no mercy. Scene 4. Humanity strikes the transmission cut. On the Terran bridge, Kale stood slowly. Arm the singularity cannon. The ship's AI replied calmly. Singularity cannon armed. Awaiting final authorization. Kale's eyes stayed locked on the image of Veros Prime below. Fire. Scene 5. The end of Veros Prime from the belly of the Terran vessel. A massive weapon unfolded, a sphere of glowing blue. Energy surrounded by rotating rings of black metal. It pulsed once, then fired. A beam of pure darkness lanced down through the clouds, striking the planet's core. On Veros Prime, the ground shuddered violently. Entire continents cracked apart. Oceans boiled instantly into steam. A massive explosion erupted, tearing upward from the planet's heart, in orbit. Alien refugees screamed as a blinding white flash consumed the world below. When the light faded, Veros Prime was gone. Nothing remained but a smoldering asteroid field. Drifting silently in the void, on the Terran bridge, Kale's voice broke the silence. One council world down, 7 more to go. The ship turned slowly, engines glowing like a predator's eyes, and then it jumped into hyperspace heading straight for the next council homeworld. The galaxy was silent. World after world floated in the black void, their lights dimmed. The great fleets of the Galactic Council were gone, its capital planets reduced to rubble. Entire empires that once mocked Earth now trembled in the shadows, whispering a single name in fear. Humanity, across a dozen systems. Refugees huddled in the ruins, watching the skies, praying the Terran ships wouldn't return. No one dared fight. No one dared speak against them. The stars themselves seemed to bow to Earth's dominion. Scene 2. Humanity's message from the edge of known space. A massive Terran fleet hovered in formation. At its center was the Oblivion, Humanity's flagship, a silent predator wrapped in dark metal and glowing energy fields. On its bridge, Captain Elias Kale stood tall. Before him, the communications array flickered with 100 alien faces, leaders of surviving species, their eyes wide with terror. Kale's voice rang out calm and cold. "We wanted peace." His words echoed through the void. "You wanted war." Kale's gaze hardened. "Never forget this day. Humanity does not forgive." Across the galaxy, billions of beings shivered as the transmission ended. Scene 3. The bowing of the galaxy one by one. The surviving alien species sent their pledges of loyalty to Earth. "We will serve. We bow to your might. Please, spare us. We are yours." The Terrans accepted their surrender. The flags of alien empires were torn down in their place. Earth's Benara, black field with a burning star, was raised above every conquered world. Scene 4. Whispers of rebellion, but in the shadows, whispers spread. Among the broken remnants of the council, quiet voices spoke of resistance. "They're not gods. They can bleed. We'll bide our time and strike when they least expect it." Hidden enclaves began gathering old weapons, studying human tech, searching for a weakness. They didn't know the truth. There was no weakness. Scene 5. Humanity's hidden agenda far away. Deep in Terran space, the Oblivion drifted in silence. Kale stood alone on the bridge, staring out at the void. The ship's AI spoke softly. Phase 1 complete. The galaxy bows to Earth. Kale didn't respond. The AI's voice grew sharper. "Almost eager? Shall we show them Phase 2? Kale's lips curled into the faintest hint of a smile. "Yes." Across the stars, faint signals pulsed from hidden Terran beacons. Dormant ships awoke, new weapons. Never seen before, powered up silently in the darkness, humanity had conquered the galaxy, but this was only the beginning. Initiating Phase 2, the AI whispered. "Prepare for total assimilation." The screen cut to black.